Come to our church, where you are welcome to come as you are. But please don't. Next on the Metal Pulpit. Thanks for joining me for another Metal Pulpit. Now, here's the deal. Just about every church out there has some sort of slogan after the name. I'm guilty of it. Our church, Radiant Fellowship, has 3 words: accepting, real, relational. Look at Sanctuary, the rock and roll refuge. Look at any church down any street and you will see a little slogan after their name or below it or somewhere around there. The one that always gets me is come as you are. The other one too is you are now entering the mission field. They usually have that on the inside of the church as you walk out of the building, and it'll say you're now entering the mission field. I think for some churches they should put that on the door going into the church. Ouch, but that's for later. Now, I do realize a lot of the people that are watching Sanctuary podcasts, you don't go to a brick and mortar style church building, the institutional church. You don't. You find church somewhere else. I get that. I'm not bothered by that. Boy, do I get that. It's okay. For those of you that go to church in a brick and mortar building on Sundays, Wednesdays, Sunday nights, Tuesdays, women's meeting, men's meeting, all of these things. And let me just say really quick regarding Sunday night services, I kind of miss them, but that's for another podcast. The saying, come as you are, think about that for a minute. Youth pastor guru Mike Yaconelli passed away quite a few years ago. He was an author for Zondervan Publishers. He wrote a book called Messy Spirituality. A fantastic read for any ministry, any church that has a brick and mortar where you say, come as you are. Now, let's think about that. When we say come as you are welcoming in all kinds of people, okay? All kinds of people from all walks of life. And for some churches that have that slogan on their door saying come as you are, they mean it. For other churches that have that slogan on their door, they don't really mean it. They were just desperately looking for a slogan to slap up on their sign that makes them seem a little more relational or relevant to the community. And let me just say, that's a red flag. Whenever a church or a ministry says, we're relevant, if you have to say it publicly, then you're probably not, okay? So, come as you are. We had this in our situation. Now, in our church, we don't have that as our slogan because, quite honestly, we like the words accepting, real, relational. But during this time, we have dealt with things both here in Wapaka and Milwaukee, where there were genuine people that came that really came as they were. We had a neighbor in Milwaukee. Let's call him Gene. Okay, so Gene lived next door, and he was a raging alcoholic. Took in a ton of alcohol. When he was sober, the greatest guy you'll ever meet. When he was blasted drunk, he was the funniest guy you'll ever meet. But one Sunday, this was a church where I was required to wear a suit and tie, and it had to be black, and just come early and all that sort of stuff. And I just never really understood that appearance thing. But here comes Gene through the door about 5 minutes after the service started. Now, granted, this is the church where if a new teenager or a young adult would walk in with their baseball hat on, they would be met with by a board member saying, please remove your hat because this is a holy place. And I so desperately wanted to say, well, take off your socks then, because where you're standing is holy ground. And it was just an awful situation. So here comes Gene in the door, as drunk as a person can get drunk, and decided to come to church. The problem is that Gene walked in 5 minutes late into the worship service, already going, and he reeked of alcohol, was loud, and all he was wearing were his boxers. Commando style. There you go. Come as you are. So he came in the door and I saw Gene coming. I'm like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be great on how things are handled. He was not treated well. He was treated very roughly, threatened to call the cops, all of those things the church did. It was just a horrible situation. At our church in Wapaka, we've dealt with things before. We've dealt with people of different lifestyles, living alternative lifestyles, and they are welcome. They are totally welcome. We love them. When someone living an alternative lifestyle walks in the door, am I going to change my message up to preach at them on the sin that they're living in? No. Because if I did that, I would have to do that for everybody that's cheating on their spouse, that's living an immoral life, living two different lives, all of these sort of things. And so it's one of those things like if there's a change that needs to happen, we let the Holy Spirit do that. Because boy, I tell you what, when you and when I take on the role of the Holy Spirit, boy, do we screw things up. We really, really botch things up. However, so there's this person that came in living a transgender lifestyle. Again, very welcome to the church. Asked if they could come. They got booted from their church. I said, absolutely, you can attend Radiant Fellowship. They came and they kept pushing the envelope. Okay, so we let them in. Fine. They wanted to be a greeter. Fine. They did all these other things. And all of a sudden, each week was starting to say, well, I want this. I want this. You're hateful if you don't. No, now that's not a matter of coming as you are or a church being welcoming. That's called social graces. In other words, adapt to your surroundings. That's what Mike Yaconelli talked about, is that if a gay couple comes in, okay, chances are they're going to adapt to their social surroundings and not do all sorts of things, okay? And it was a very good point that he made. This wasn't the case, and so we had to say, you know what, either you comply with what we're doing, or maybe you should find somewhere else. But some people are so drawn to drama that they insist on coming to a place where it's like, you know what, quite honestly, if I was gay, if I was living an alternative lifestyle, I wouldn't go to a church steeped in a stricter denomination. I would jump online, look for a church that affirms my lifestyle, and go to that church. But people love drama. And so this was the case. They took it public on Facebook. I'm not a pastor's kid. I don't have the social graces of a pastor kid. So he ripped me a new one, and so I fired right back. I had two people from the church say I was screenshotting everything from that conversation because I've never seen a pastor act that awesome before. It wasn't a proud moment for me, but I had to stand up for our church. Now, he ended up moving on, went to another place, and that was the same thing that unfolded. So I did him a favor. I said, guy, here's a list of churches that affirm your lifestyle. Why not pursue something like that? I don't know where it went. But you know what? We have to be careful when we say come as you are, because if you do say come as you are, you're welcoming all sorts of things. And that's what Jesus would do. For those of you that are going to the church with a little chip on your shoulder saying, oh, they said come as they are, and I can act like however, social graces, okay? Social graces. Everybody in that room's dealt with stuff you've dealt with, pain, letdowns, hurt. But you know what? If we work together, we can move beyond our differences and have this thing called the church. All right, viewer question. Okay, actually I don't have a viewer question this week. Nothing came in, which is fine. But if you do have one, you can email me, pastorbobadams@gmail.com, and I will be sure to address it on this podcast. What I do want to talk to you about is that I'm going to be doing a series of teachings on male postpartum depression. This is something that's hit me very hard over the last couple weeks. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you, probably since midsummer I've started dealing with this, and it's not until recently that I've always known what I'm dealing with, but I haven't wanted to confront it quite yet, and so I'm doing that now. And I wrote a blog, and here's the blog address right here. It's received overwhelming support. I've turned down 2 offers to do other teachings on it, and quite honestly, I'm still plowing through it. It's at a place that I haven't been to in many, many years, and so watch for that series. It's going to be separate from the Metal Pulpit. It's going to be just a spin-off series where I'm going to talk openly about this male postpartum depression thing and just depression in general. So be sure to watch for that. It's going to come out in the next week or two. I'm hoping in the next week. Again, let's be honest, every day is a chore. And so I'm going to do my best to walk through my pain and recovery with you as well, so that I hope that you can find hope and peace or offer it to somebody by offering this podcast to them. So have a great day.